Alright, hello and welcome to the update 19.6 breakdown. So there's a lot more in this update than I was actually expecting, and we need to go over it. So we're going to go over it real quick, and then we're going to show some stuff in game, and then wrap this shit up. So we have, obviously, the Frost Deluxe skin, which you already knew was coming this week, and that comes with the Longsword skin. We'll take a closer look at those whenever we're actually in game. Spoilers, it looks quite nice, but I have one kind of major gripe with it. Otherwise, though, we finally got the helmet cure, so for those of you that haven't done the quest, because it is accessible even if you haven't done the Glass Gambit, which is great. So happy about that, so that new players don't have to have just the CYST for, like, their first huge amount of time playing the game. So I'll show everyone where you can cure your CYST if you'd like to get rid of it, which I'm going to assume most of you would like to get rid of it. So that's great. The alignment script for the Glass Gambit, because apparently some of the alignment choices were fucked up, is going out, and I think that's all done now. Yep, it's all done now. So that's done, so any alignment things that were messed up is now fixed. And then we got this. So this is kind of huge. These are some changes to Nidus that are positive and negative. There's a nerf, but also a buff in there. And then there's one thing that I think might make way for some wider, really good changes to the game. So let's just get into this stuff. So the first thing is that Nidus's maggots now have more health. This means that they're not going to get just completely instantly evaporated by AoEs anymore, which is really nice. They'll actually be able to attack some enemies like, let's say, Arson Eximus that they wouldn't normally really be able to get close to at higher levels, which is going to be awesome. And then the consumption for whenever Nidus would activate his Undying goes from 10 to 15, which is a very minor nerf, and it's kind of understandable, because you got to the point where, like, you could build this back very, very fast, and 15 isn't a crazy increase. It still's totally fine, just like a slight, pretty actually relatively minor nerf on Nidus. I think you're going to be missing the damage maybe from those extra 5 stacks more than anything else with that. So that's fine. Just a minor nerf there. And then the interesting part, which is a nerf, but also could possibly make way for future changes in a really, really good way, which is that entering a nullifier bubble with Nidus will make it so that your stacks will start to drain. Now that's really important, because I don't think it's a big deal. I think it makes sense for Nidus to have, like, a very, like, little, like, as long as all of his stacks aren't instantly evaporated, which they're not, it's just a drain while you're inside of it, that's fine. Totally okay with that. Makes an alright amount of sense. So that stuff is fine, but I think it makes way for changes to other abilities to work like this as well. So his stacks will deplete slowly. What if, now I'm just saying, what if that also applied to abilities like Vex Armor, where even though he's a tank, Chroma can't just go into a nullifier bubble because his buff that he's built up will just evaporate off of him immediately. And then, like, Inaros with his Scarab Armor. Why does Inaros' Scarab Armor just poof, gone? Shouldn't those also just decrease as you're inside, and that would just make more sense that way to me personally. And I think that would be a good change for nullifiers, so that, like, any Warframe that has a buff just can't enter a nullifier bubble, essentially. So yeah, I think that might be that change is a nerf to Nidus, but also will hopefully pave the way for future changes to Warframes, where Warframes that carry around buffs aren't just instantly fucked over the moment they enter any nullifier bubble, and can actually, you know, do the strategy of dive into the nullifier bubble and kill that guy, so they don't always just have to run away all the time. And then probably Warframes that will stay the same as, like, Valkyr turning off her 4 and stuff like that. But yeah, that's cool. And then other changes to that is that his maggots will no longer explode on their own, so that people can't just AFK in super low levels. It makes sense. I get it. But they will still explode whenever you use your 1 on them, so you can still get your stacks that way, which is fine. It seems alright. And then it will ping enemies whenever you're holding your 1, so... Or it will ping your maggots, rather, so you know when they're on enemies, so you can cast your 1 at them appropriately. So that stuff's all great. Maggot Explosion was made better. It can attach to certain enemies that it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to attach to, and that stuff's all fine. And then there's a bug fix in there for client-host stuff. So that stuff's great. I think that's actually, like, a good list of changes. It's like a it's interesting. Like, the nerf in there is something I'm excited about maybe being applied to other abilities, which is a really fucking weird thing, because it would be a very minor buff to a lot of other abilities and allow for some more gameplay freedom that I'd be very excited to see. So, there's that stuff, and then we got some updates to Frost abilities, which we'll look at those, of course. And then, aside from that, not a whole lot of other important stuff, just some good fixes like you would want, and all that stuff and such. So, now, let's move into the game proper and check all this stuff out, like how fast these stacks drain and all that. It's not very fast, it's totally fine. Yeah. So let's move over there. Alright. So, here we are in the Simulacrum. I'm Frost currently. So this is what the skin looks like. Now, I think this looks fine. I think it colors, like, decently well. The main color on it is kind of fidgety, in that this top color here, it doesn't really go like all of one. Like pure white looks like this, still pretty dark, so it doesn't take colors super well. But like, it looks like this is the one color section that is kind of unfortunate, but it still looks fine. Everything else takes color really, really well, especially his little butt cape parts. I think they color very, very well. So that stuff's great, and then his metal muscles take color like you would expect. They're metallic. They react to like priming colors and such very well. And overall, it looks pretty nice whenever it's just the skin. Now, unfortunately, I think the helmets end up kind of looking super dumb. Like pretty stupid. And because his like muscle, like metallic color, isn't on the 4th slot of customization. If you're doing the prime, you'd have to have two of your slots be the primed yellow to get the prime color on your actual prime parts. So that's pretty unfortunate. But yeah, the way it combines with the alt helmets, not something I'm a huge fan of. So you'd want to use the regular helmet, which brings me to my big problem with this skin, which is this. These little dangly bits. That's not so much this side, obviously, but like this little dangly bit. It's like, with some weapons it's on the reticle, but like that's far too close to my reticle. Like I really hate these things because I don't think they look particularly cool either way, and they're like, this is really annoying. Like having something that close to my reticle is just kind of annoying in general. So if I have any real gripe with this skin, it's that these fucking dangly bits fucking suck and I hate them. But yeah, like then you can see how that changes from weapon to weapon. It's less close with this, but like still too close. But yeah, and then we have the sword skin, which this is great. I actually like this quite a bit. This can go on any single sword, as you would imagine, not Nakamas. And it looks quite nice. I like it. I'm using Vengeful Revenant on it right now just for the fanciness. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. It's got a nice skin. And this is probably, like, this is just going to be my Broken War probably forever now. So that stuff's nice. But let's move on to Nidus, who's in my miscellaneous currently. Alright, so here we have Nidus. Let's build up some stacks, and then we can show how they deplete inside of a nullifier bubble. And then I'll show, like, his maggots showing on the UI and all that stuff, because I'm pretty sure they still show in the Simulacrum. So we'll put 145, 5 of these bombards. Actually, you know what? It's probably better to do heavy gunners instead. We'll just build up some stacks real quick. These guys right here on the edge, over here. So something that I realize a lot of people don't know is if your one reaches a terminating point, like this edge here, is whenever natural talent really comes into play and you can stop real fast. This is also the reason you don't overdo range on Nidus, which I haven't seen a lot of people noticing, I guess. So let's build these stacks up real quick, like. And then we'll show the maggot interaction. Your maggots will come out. And then if you hold one, you can see where all your maggots are. This actually looks really nice, I think. So you can make them all explode and get a ton of stacks very, very quickly. Yeah, this is actually really cool, I think. And I think this actually kind of makes his ability more interesting. Because then you can blow them all up and get a ton of stacks very, very fast. And like I think like part of this change is that I think it kind of ups the value of the maggots because you can always tell where they are. Which is super helpful because they always know where the enemies are because they're AI. So it kind of helps a lot. Like it's a pretty nice change, even if it's mostly visual. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. So now let's stop messing with these guys and go grab a nullifier so you can see how fast these stacks deplete. Yeah, I actually really like how that looks, and I think it was done really well. So we'll make him level 10 for the sake of it. And then we'll have grab a nullifier, grab him, spawn him in. And then we'll just go stand by this guy. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, not a terribly fast rate. It's not like you're like stepping in and draining like 5 unless you're here for a while. Yeah, provided you're entering the bubble with the purpose of killing this guy. Entering the bubble is not a huge downside, but it is a downside that's there, so you do still have to actually kill this guy. You can't just not worry about it. Also, his aim is terrible. But yeah, I don't think it drains too fast or anything. I think this is probably about where it should be. And now let's go... I mean, we'll show the Undying at 15 just for the sake of it, huh? We'll grab... Butchers are usually pretty good about this. 145. We'll just have these guys run up and kick my ass. There you go, Undying, and you can see it's going to drain 15. Yeah, minor nerf. Seems reasonable. I actually think that a little bit of knowing where the maggots are whenever you're holding your 1 is actually going to help with the recovery of your stacks, because the maggot explosions will help with that. So, good overall. I like it. There's some changes that I enjoy. Now I'm going to go back to the ship and show where you can remove the cyst if you've got one. Alright, so back in the ship, we're at our arsenal here. If you've got a cyst, Nidus can enter this room at all times. But if you have a fully grown cyst, which is 7 days, you can come in here and sit on this, and it will remove the cyst for you. There's just a prompt, easy peasy, removes the cyst and completely cures your Warframe of being able to be infected. So, if you'd like to get rid of your cyst, you can now do so in there, which is phenomenal. But yeah, that is going to be update 19.6, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.